Hello, everyone. This is Kerwin, and welcome to another episode of What's Happening in Travel. Today, I am in Dubai. I'm still in my hotel room. So I've made this makeshift studio. Actually, on the wall, it actually says Dubai is always a good idea. And that's what's actually on the wall there. And it's I kind of have the hotel chair and the table, and the table is on top of the chair. It's quite funny. Maybe I'll take a picture and show you what it looks like. But I'm here for the Dubai Airshow, and the Dubai Airshow is held in Dubai, and it is usually it's every other year. And the year in between is the Bahrain Airshow. So last year, this time I was in Bahrain at the Bahrain Airshow, which I think was actually about the same time. And this year, it is the Dubai Airshow. And just to give a kind of idea of the air shows, so this year is the Dubai Airshow, and it was also the Paris Airshow. Next year is going to be Farnborough Airshow and the Bahrain Airshow. So the Farnborough Airshow is normally in the summer, and the Dubai Airshow, why can't I speak? The Bahrain Airshow is going to be November. It's cooler in November. You don't want to have an air show in July because it's very hot outside. Even today it was pretty hot. I guess the thing said it went up to 80 something degrees. And I walked about 15,000 steps yesterday, and the day before. So I'm pretty tired. But I thought I'd give you a little recap of what's been happening at the Dubai Air Show. The biggest thing that you've heard, and I'll try to put some links in the thing. It's I don't have the exact numbers because I have to go. I needed to do a little more research, but I wanted to bring this to you before. But Fly Dubai has ordered new airplanes. Ethiopian has ordered new airplanes. Emirates have ordered new airplanes, and the other one that showed up was the green one. Air Baltic has ordered new airplanes. So what that means, or what that's saying, is that the industry outlook is very good. That means that people are traveling, and people are traveling heavily. And what the airlines want to do is to make sure that they can meet the demand of air travel. There's also a new airline being started up, Riyadh Air. They're scheduled to start in 2025, I believe it is. And this airline is quite interesting because there's been such a run-up to them getting formed. What they did was they painted a 787 in the new colors, and apparently it's quite expensive to paint a plane. So what they didn't do was they didn't strip the current one that they have flying around, and they don't really have another one yet, so they didn't paint another plane. So they're keeping the one that they have, and I guess whenever they get more planes, they will go ahead and paint that one in the new colors. Now they had at the show, they had the plane, and then have a big QR code. And I suppose that when you go to the website for the QR code, you will end up getting the new livery. I tried it, but it didn't really work, and apparently it didn't work too well at this show because it is so hot outside and it's so bright. You can't really see the colors on the phones or whatever it's supposed to be. But they did have a small model of it, and I think it's actually I think it's like a white version of the current livery. The current livery, I think, is purple, and there's a white version of it. So I haven't even seen it properly, but I saw the little model that somebody had, and that shows what that is. They're going to be based in Saudi Arabia, and so now they have two carriers. Two main carriers, because there's quite a few low-cost carriers in Saudi itself. There's one called Fly a Deal, which is actually, I think, a part of the Saudi group. Saudi group, I think, is what it's called. which runs the airline that's called Saudia. And speaking of Saudia was also there. They had a 787-10, and I was able to go in. So I'll show you some photos here. And also you can look, if you go to passrider.com/WHIT, you'll see this latest episode. And the photo, I'll put some photos in that on that page in the show notes. And if you're watching the video, you'll see the photos as we go through it. But it was quite an amazing show. I did unfortunately, Fly Dubai had a Max 8, and when I went to see it, they were at lunch, and when they came back, I didn't get a chance to go, and it was only there for 2 days, so it left yesterday. That's the thing about the air show. Sometimes, when you go, you see all these airplanes, and if you're an aviation geek like myself, it's like a kid in a candy store, because you have all these amazing airplanes that are there, and then you just get to pick whichever one you wanna go in. Now, I have a media pass, so that makes it a little easier. But if you want to go, you can get a visitor pass, and when you get a visitor pass, you can't get it on most of the airplanes. You can get it in something like Emirates, was great. Emirates had 2 airplanes. They had the 777-300ER, and they, of course, the A380, because the A380 is their flagship airplane. And the cool thing about the A380 is that it has what Emirates did was they just did like a refurb, if you want to call it that. So they refurbed the bar on the Emirates airplane. If you go upstairs and you're in business class, there's a bar upstairs. The A380, different airlines have different configuration. I just run British Airways, and upstairs they have economy, which they call World Traveler, and downstairs they also have economy, and they have business class downstairs too, and I think they also have first class downstairs. So a few of the airlines just do them slightly differently, but Emirates upstairs is their business class, and they have first class as well in the nose of the airplane, and they also have the 2 showers. So I was able to go check the showers out, check out their new first class, which I think the old first class, if I remember correctly, it was taller. So to me, the cabin, it always ended up making the cabin a little darker because it was so tall, but now it's shorter. So it doesn't go all the way up anymore, but you still have privacy. At least it seems that way to me. One of the flight attendants was saying it's not, but I needed to go find the old pictures that I did 2 years ago at the same Dubai Airshow, and I don't think they were that tall. But it's much nicer. Seats are nicer. The colors are slightly different, just slightly different. It actually looks much cleaner, for want of a better word. And I'll share some pictures of that too. They also redid the business class. I think the seats are different. The colors are different again. And it's huge. And that's all upstairs. So that was very good to see. So as a regular visitor, you can actually go see that. You just line up and go in. And when I went first, it was so crowded. And so I decided this morning I was going to get there extremely early, and I was the first online. And I was the first on board. And even that, I spent maybe 30, 45 minutes just waiting for people to walk by and all that. And then the thing about the show is that there's a lot of dignitaries that come. And the Dubai ruler, I think he was also there, and his dad was there. Or maybe it's the crown prince and his dad. I'm not sure who's the ruler is. But they were there. And what happens is that whenever the dignitaries come on the plane, they basically kick everybody off, so the dignitaries can have the airplane to themselves. And then once they're gone, then we can get back in the airplane. And so we had to get off because I'm not sure who it was, but one of them was coming to view the plane. So that was quite good. Now the 777-300ER is actually quite This one has the brand new first class that they put on the 777. It is a 1-1-1 configuration, but the middle has the second seat has the entrance on the right, and the first seat has the entrance on the left. And then there's a two, might be two, yeah, I think it's two at the window and two on the other side. So I think there's 6 in there. There might be 8, but I think there's 6. It's actually really, really nice. And what they did, they decorated each of them with different amenities, so you could see what the different amenities would, see what the different meals are. So that was beautifully done. And of course, that one has the premium economy is only on the A380. I didn't see the premium economy on the 777, but it did have the business class. Now, what I didn't like was on the business class, they have a 2-3-2 configuration. And it's very weird because if somebody's asleep, you have to step over them. So that's not very nice. I don't know why they couldn't figure out a nice way to make it. British Airways has the same thing on the A380 and also the 777. And I'm gonna fly the 787 home. So I'll be able to see what the configuration is on that. But it's probably the same. They have this weird I think it's 2-4-2 in business. And you have to like slalom around someone or over someone to get to your seat. And I don't like that, and most customers don't like that. I heard one of the guys was talking because he switched with this lady, wanted to sit next to the one of their family members, and he hated it because he was now in the middle of the airplane and he just didn't like it at all because he had to like go around a curve or something. It's really awkward how it is. But you know, they do that because they want to put more people in, because the more people you put in, the more money you make, right? One of the so we had the let's see, Etihad. Etihad brought a 787-9, and this airplane was actually marked experimental. Reason is that because the seats are new and the seats haven't been approved for that model yet. And so it was marked experimental, but the seats are really nice. I don't know what they look like. Well, I do know what it looked like before, but I can't remember, you know, just looking at the new one, what's the differences with the old one. But I will show you some photos of what the new one looks like. And that one, then they have a business, it's just business and then economy class on the 787. In terms of more commercial, Qatar Airways had 2 airplanes. They had the A350-1000, and they had I believe it was a 787 that was there. So those people could get on regularly and just go see what those were. There were a number of other airplanes, but you had to have like an appointment. And as a media person, Airbus allows us to go on the planes so we can report on them. And they had, there was one called the Air Arabia, had one of the airplanes, which was really good. Egypt Air had the A321. Kuwait Air had the A330 Neo, which is the A330-800. And I'd never really seen one of those in person. So this was really good to get on and see the different classes. I had flown Kuwait Airways many years ago. I think I actually might have flown them from Abu Dhabi to Kuwait City. And that was actually a really good flight. So it's been a while, so this was good to go see that. There is an app that they give us, and the app does tell you exactly what all the static displays are. So instead of trying to go from memory, I'm gonna go from the static display, because I think that will make it a little easier. Okay, it's pulling up on the app. And while it does, I did get a chance to go on, there's a new airline called Beyond, Beond. So it's Beyond without the Y. Yeah, really nice airplane. And it is operated by a company called Beyond. I think it's Beyond Group, I think it is. Maybe, or it might just say Beyond. They're based in the Maldives. And they actually, what's today? Wednesday? They're actually flying in a few hours. They're going to be flying their flight from the Maldives, from actually from Munich to the Maldives, because they left. They weren't at the show today because they had to get to Munich so they could get aircraft ready so it can fly from Munich to Maldives on its inaugural flight. And it is actually going to stop in Dubai. So it left Dubai, it left DWC, which is, Dubai has two airports, the Al Maktoum International and the DXB airport, which is where everybody goes. But the DWC, some airlines do fly into that. And I don't know what's going to happen eventually between the two airports. The DWC it's way out of the city. But there is transportation that can get you there. I think there's like an expo. You can take a train to the expo, and then there's transportation between the expo to there. But it's, yes, I don't know what they're going to do with what's going to happen with that. But they do have two airports. It's basically in the southern part of Dubai, and the other airport is in another part of Dubai. It's not unusual for big cities to have two airports. I think we've talked about before where London has like 6 airports, New York has 5 airports, Los Angeles has 5 airports, depending on how you look at it. Miami has 2, although it's really Miami and Fort Lauderdale, but they're right there. And if you can count West Palm Beach, because West Palm Beach is just down the road. So it's not unusual. San Francisco is 2, 3. San Francisco is Oakland, San Jose, and San Francisco International. So that's 3 airports that's serving the Bay Area is what that's called. So it is not unusual. Berlin, for the longest, had 3 airports. Now they only have 1. So it's not unusual for a lot of cities to do that. All right. So now, looking at the static display map, it's it's a really tiny map that they have. So we talked about Emirates. We talked about Fly Dubai, and I'm just going through the actual airlines themselves. Talked about Qatar, and that might have been, we did Emirates, Etihad. Okay, so I think that took care of. There was Air Arabia, which is what we had talked about. And Fire Deal. I didn't see the Fire Deal airplane today, so I don't know if it left. Because the thing with these airplanes is that they can't. The longer they stay, the more the airlines end up losing money because that airplane isn't flying. In terms of cargo, there was airline that's based in I can't pronounce the word properly though. They're based in India, and they had an A320, which apparently is the only A320 converted to cargo that's flying in the world. And it was interesting to see this because I'd never seen a cargo configuration set up for those, and it's really tiny. Like the door is not the normal size door that you walk in. It's actually small. I have to bend my head to get in it. And then there's a toilet, and the toilet is right behind the cockpit. And then there's a a huge bulkhead, because what they do, they have to put a strong bulkhead. So if something happens to the airplane, the cargo doesn't come forward and crush the cockpit. So there's this huge thick panel that's there. And then there's a little door. You have to stuck under the door to get into the cargo area. And then it's loaded from the, I think this particular one is loaded from, I think it was the back. It might have been the front. I think it's loaded at the back or midway through. Just behind, I have to look at the pictures again, but I'll post some photos here. Then speaking of cargo, there was also an A321 converted cargo. And that was interesting to see, because Salam Air, I think, had that. I never seen one of those before either. So it was great to see that. Then on the cargo front, there was a 777-300ER, which is the first 777-300ER that's being converted. And they were very proud of this because not too many modifications had to be made. Of course, you have to take all the seats. You have to blot out all the windows, and you put strengtheners on the sides, and you change the floor because now you have passengers cargo sitting on top of cargo, because there's two levels. There's a normal level of cargo, and they have a passenger level of cargo. And they did the same thing, but a huge bulkhead thing. So if the cargo comes out, it doesn't smash the cockpit. And then we could only take pictures of the cargo. We couldn't take picture of the cockpit nor the seats, but they have like these seats that just outside the cockpit, which is very cool to see. And hopefully, I think next year that airplane will be available. It was a Kalita Air, which is a huge cargo operator, is the one that's doing it. But it was great to see a 777-300ER, which was actually an ex-Emirates airplane that they used for that. So that was good to see. In addition to all those, Boeing had the 777-9, and I was able to go in that one and check that one out. So that was very good to see. Got to see the cockpit again. And it's always amazing when you go in and see that airplane and see how it's literally behind the scenes of how it's being tested and how they're doing all the trainings and stuff like that, and how they move water throughout the plane to test the center of gravity. And there's all kind of nifty stuff that happens. And so that's still in certification. And this one was the first one that ever made. So it was kind of cool to see that again. I've seen it at a few of the air shows. So that was good. Airbus had the A350-1000, and that was their test bird. Previously, they normally fly the A350-900. So it was great to see the 1000 being flown. And it's always great to see that airplane. So what I thought was probably the coolest airplane there was the KC-46A. The KC-46A is a 767-300, but it's modified for military, and it's a tanker. So it's a tanker that refuels airplanes when military airplanes when they fly. And this was very, very cool to see. And because when they have like 3 or 4 rows of 5 seats in the back, lots of leg room. And then you could remove those because it sits in a pallet, and you could fill the entire thing with cargo. There's of course enough fuel to refuel another airplane, usually fighter jets, or you can refuel another 767, because those can be refueled as well. I guess another KC-46 is the name that they have for it. And this was brand new. So it had the new airplane smell, and got a chance to see the cockpit, of course, no pictures. And I saw the panel that they had where this is where and it's dual, because they're take it so the person someone can train you and show you how to do it. And it's great to actually see the people behind the scenes who do this on a daily basis. You know, they fuel this stuff. I saw one of those tankers once, but it wasn't fueling anything. It was just flying by. And I think it was somewhere over here in the Middle East. I think might have been doing a London, Dubai run once. So it's very good to see this kind of stuff out there, because this is not the normal stuff that you see on a daily basis, right? And it was great to go in and check that out. And they had like the C-130 was also there. And I don't know why. I guess it's the thing for the people who work in these planes to stand on top of the planes, and because they were standing on top of the planes, taking pictures and things like that. And I really wanted to go stand on top of the plane too, but I don't think that was. I didn't even bother to ask, because I knew that was not possible to do that. You know, just to reliability and all that kind of stuff. It's probably just not allowed. But it was very cool to see that. There's also lots of like, yeah, I guess the F-35 and the F-16s, and I don't know my military airplanes, but there are lots of military airplanes. Because whenever you have the Dubai Airshow, there's the Minister of Defense, I think, is actually at that airport. And so there's lots of military stuff that's always displayed. So it's good to see. I'm not a military aircraft person, but it's good to see that. Speaking of military aircraft, Emirates Embraer had their I think it's called the C-390, which is also a military transport airplane. It looks like a C-130, but like a baby C-130 in essence. But it does have the thing at the back where it goes down, or actually goes up, and it also goes down, and the stuff can go right in. And interesting when you see these planes is, you know, we complain about seats on airplane. Well, these are just like, you know, one row here, one row there, and you're sitting, you're strapped in, and you're sitting here. There's no window. Well, there are windows, but not by the seats. Like there's a window like at the door, and another window at the front, but that's it. You know, you're sitting there, and I guess the guys and the girls are sitting there, and they're in transport mode when they sit in these things. So it was interesting to go in and see that. What else was there? In terms of there's also, so Embraer has an airplane called the E195, ERJ195-E2. They call it the Prophet Hunter. And this one was painted with a bird on the front, which is very striking as you go by the Prophet Hunter. The Prophet Hunter does not have any wingtips, and it's longer. It's like a slimmer it's like a long ERJ190, a longer ERJ190, still 2.2. And in this particular one, they had a kind of a straddled first class seats. I think there are a few operators that are operating these at the moment. So I have to go find one so I can go fly them. And I did have a chance to go in that one, so that was good. There was a Praetor 600, which is a private jet, but that one I didn't have a chance to go see that. I think that one probably belonged to somebody else, and so we couldn't get a chance to see that. Oh, there is it's called the 220, which is the ACJ, which is the Airbus corporate jet. And what they did basically is take an Airbus 220 and made it into a corporate jet. Amazing inside. It's like an entire house inside there, because you've got the bathroom, you've got the galley, kitchen, if you want to call it that. You've got a bed, and you've got an office, in essence, all on board an airplane. So that was interesting to see. And I'd seen that in NBAA, but didn't get a chance to go see it. And I was able to see it here. So that was very spectacular. In terms of flying, there was of course, Boeing flew the 777, and Airbus flew the A350-1000. And then there were some helicopters, and there's some military helicopters, and there was an F-16, there's an F-15, There's an F-35. And there was the B-1 came by. Now, it's the second time I've seen the B-1. It never lands. It just like, oh, the B-1's coming, and all you see is this little thing coming, and it just, and then it goes around and it comes back and it does, and it's gone. That's it. But it's very spectacular to see that they started the show with about three, maybe it was five commercial airplanes. I have to go back into the pictures, but there was the A380, and there was Etihad Emirates, and there was Etihad's. I'm not sure what the type was. And there was a Flight Dubai was also there, but it was great seeing the A380 was leading, and it was interesting to see how slow this thing was going as it came over the field. And then I think it's the Al Fersen flyers were also there, and it was just a beautiful thing to see, and that opened the show. So all in all, it was a good show. The industry is really looking up, and it was good to go. I mean, the show's not over. It's only day 3. There's still 2 more days to go, so I'm off there again tomorrow. The good thing about this show is that you get to see parts of the industry that you never really think about. Like the lady behind me in line on the first day, she worked for a company that made bolts. And you probably laughing like I did, right? Bolts, yes. Because the airplane uses a lot of bolts, right? You got to bolt on those seats. You got to put, the bulkheads I was just talking about, and the cargo was all bolts. But you don't think about that, right? And she works for a company that does the bolts. So that was good to see that part. That's always good to see that part of the industry. And so as you walk through the displays inside, you can see all that. The other thing that's big was EVTOL, which is electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. This is a thing. This is something that the biggest hurdle they have is going to be consumer acceptance, because some of them are proposing autonomous, which means that there will not be a pilot. And people are still skittish, will be very skittish about that. I don't know if you will get in an autonomous airplane. I've been in an autonomous car, which is really scary, driving on the highway in Las Vegas. And then, but it was autonomous for like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. And I was on a highway. And then I was autonomous on a closed track. And it was just me and the car. There's nobody else in there. So I don't know how it will be when you do autonomy on a flying machine. But it's coming. Volocopter did a demonstration back at NBAA in Las Vegas, which was quite interesting to see. But it wasn't autonomous. But that's the eventual ride, I think, is supposed to be autonomous. At least they want it to be autonomous, but it may not be. They may still are going to have a pilot and 1 passenger. There's a whole area that's on the mobility. And so there's a lot going on. One of the companies I saw, Lilium, I think it is, they're developing like 30 electric jet engines. So that'll be interesting to see. And they're testing it, and they're autonomously testing this right now. So this is not, just something that is on paper anymore. They're actually testing these things. The biggest thing is battery life, right? They want to be able to get battery that will last a long time. So watch out for these EVTOLs. They're going to be all over the place. It is where the industry is heading. I did talk to a company, I guess it was Shell, about, what do you call it? Vegetable oil, if you want to call it that. It's called SAF. So SAF it's fuel that's made out of plant-based materials, if you want to say that. And the it is a thing. There when I went to NBAA, which is the National Business Aviation Association, I think is what they're called. They had a lot of I think there was a thing that said if you're going to be displaying, you had to use SAF, fuel, which is fuel, aviation fuel, sustainable aviation fuel, I think is what SAF means. And so they had to bring and a lot of the carriers really did that. Now, one thing I'd asked them about is, so what if you have a diversion and you divert to an airport that doesn't have the SAF? Apparently, you can mix the SAF with regular fuel, regular jet fuel. So that's probably a game changer now. I don't think they were able to do that initially, but they can now. And if I'm misspeaking, please let me know. So it was good to see where the industry is headed. And it is a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges. So that's kind of the first 3 days of the Dubai Airshow. Remember to go to passrider.com. On the homepage, I have a recap of day 1. I'll eventually have a recap of day 2. And you can also see this podcast there with the photos and things like that. And I should give you a good idea of what's going on. Dubai is always fun. My commute is like an hour. It's like an hour and a half, like about 2 hours each way. But you know, it's worth it. It's worth it because, like I said, it's like a kid in a candy store. It's all the stuff you ever dreamed of. Just getting on board all these airplanes. And it's like the pilots are excited, the flight crew is excited, the flight attendants are excited, the PR people are excited, and the poor workers, they're cleaning everything. It's like Lucid, which is a electric car, which actually made in the US. I had no idea. It's a high-end electric car, and they partnered with Riyadh Air. And it's quite interesting what they've done. The car it's like a regular car. You get in, there's no like, everything is where it normally is in a regular car, except it's electric. That's just the difference. Nice dashboard, very nicely designed. Except as somebody's a little taller, it was very difficult to get into the car. Like I was trying to put my head forward to go in, but it wouldn't work. So I had to, like, all the way back, and it was just very awkward getting in there. I looked like a total idiot. So that's called the Lucid, and that's with Riyadh Air. But it can go, I think the guy said like 800 miles or something like that on a single charge. I was like, wow, really? So that'll be interesting to see that. But anyway, I'm babbling. That's all I have for the Dubai Air Show. I don't have there's other stuff that's been happening in aviation, but I've gone on for an hour already, and I don't want to keep you too long. So thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, all the good YouTube stuff that goes with all this. And hopefully I will be able to get this uploaded tonight before I fall asleep. Already, it's like actually it's not too bad. It's only 7:29 in Dubai on Wednesday as I record this. So this is Kerwin at passrider.com, cruisingauto.com, and I guess have a great trip. And like the thing said, Dubai is always a good idea. Talk to you soon.